And we are live, which is awesome. Welcome, everyone. I'm Debra Eckerling. I'm the author of Your Goal Guide and founder of the DEB Method, and this is Goal Chat Live. So every week, every Sunday night, I hold the Goal Chat Twitter chat, and then on Monday, I bring in an awesome expert to dive deeper into the topic. And yesterday, we talked about reinventing yourself, and raise your hand if you haven't reinvented yourself. I expect no hands. But especially now when everything's changed and we get all these great opportunities, and who better to join me today on Goal Chat Live than Polly Campbell, author of You Recharge and like some other stuff. And it's always a great day when I get to talk to my friends and let other people watch. And Polly and I met because she is another Mango author and she interviewed me. We'll be sure to share that link as well. And I'm thinking, reinventing You Recharge is totally the right person to talk about reinventing. So Polly, I did a terrible job of introducing you. So why don't you share things that I didn't?
No, I thought it was great. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me because, I love talking about this stuff too. When I think of reinvention, it's not so much as throwing everything out and starting again. It's just about adding energy to the things that we care about, that we're interested in. And so I've written a book about that. I had to reinvent and recharge my life again and again and again. And actually, I found that exhilarating. So I thought some others might too. I went from a real place of feeling stuck and frustrated, and I call it the midlife malaise because crisis is too strong of a word, but I was definitely not into it. And to really kind of supercharging things again and feeling really excited about where I'm at. So I'm excited to share that tonight.
Okay, well, first things first, your book is coming out in March.
Right.
And why don't you just give us the quick 3-minute story of how it came about? Because your book came about from experience.
Absolutely. I write a lot about these strategies, these practical tips and strategies and the psychology we can use to really streamline our life, not to be better, not because we have to improve everything, but to have more fun, to be more engaged. And three-ish years ago, it's been 4 now, I was not having fun. And on paper, life was great. I was married to a nice guy. I am married to a nice guy. Same guy, still married. I had my dream job, allegedly. I'm self-employed as a writer, and it's a job that I created. I had a healthy kid. I had a comfortable home. We had enough money in the bank. We're not wealthy, but enough is as good as wealth, right? And yet I was waking up every day, counting the hours until I could go back to bed. I was completely exhausted and burned out and stuck and embarrassed because I thought, on paper, I have all of this. I mean, I have a great life, and I wasn't able to enjoy it. I also live with a chronic disease and rheumatoid arthritis, and the doctors were saying it was time for surgery, and my head wasn't into that. And I thought, you know what? I need to recharge things. And I was sitting up on the couch one morning, dark, before everybody was up, and I thought, I got to stop complaining and start creating. And that started with me. And so I started researching and practicing and learning and reading and trying different things, really to recharge my own experience, to see if a middle-aged mother with chronic illness could get her act together and start enjoying and engaging with her life again. And I did, and I can, and if I can, you certainly can, because I was lounging on the couch every morning, and I eat pizza, and I don't like exercise, and I thought, we gotta engage with our life and create the experience we want, and when we do that, everything takes on more energy.
It's so true. And first of all, you got to get the gold star because you saw you needed to make a change, and you did it.
I'm all about the star, man.
Well, you have to, right?
Yeah.
And I joke about it, in real life, remember real life, when I would have my meetings, I'd have the gold star stickers, and I found one that was large enough to use as a symbol when I chat, because we need that. We need the encouragement. And I think it's one thing to say, okay, my life, there's a problem, And it's another thing to say, my life, there's a problem. I'm going to do something about it.
Yeah. I started looking around at parts of my life that didn't feel like I wanted them to feel and that weren't exciting or interesting to me. And I realized there was only one common denominator, and it was me. And that sucks. I needed to make a change, and the change was me. I could only blame my husband for so much, and the dog wasn't acting up, and I had created my own job, so if I was unhappy, whose fault was that? But when we recognize that, that's empowering too, because when we're accountable to the things that aren't working, then we get to celebrate the successes and own those things too. So that's where our power begins, I think.
Absolutely. And we had, and I will share, we had such a great conversation about this when you interviewed me, because we both know how important it is to envision. We have choices. We don't have to sit on the couch and let life continue to sometimes you have to get to a point where you're like, okay, good. So I think the first step in reinventing yourself is saying, okay, it's time. Yes.
Yeah. For me, it was looking at the things that I felt I wanted to change, not needed to, not things that other people were telling me to do, but things that I knew I would feel better in my life if I changed them. And then, because I am me, I picked the easiest first step I could make. I used to be all in, and I still am all in, but I'm less concerned about where I end up 10 years from now than where I end up 10 minutes from now. And I thought, I have to do something today to switch this energy. And if I take each of those little moments together, then in the long run, tomorrow or 5 years or 6 months or 5 years or whatever it is, I'm going to have all that momentum behind me. So I was looking for the small wins. That first day, I needed to eat more fruits and vegetables. That's where I started. I couldn't fuel my body on the things I wanted to do creatively in my work and in my life and my health if I was going to fill up on junk food all the time. So I started simple. Let's get more fruits and vegetables in my body, and that's where I started. And slowly, I added in. I didn't focus on limiting. I didn't focus on taking away the things I didn't want to do. I just built up. What do I want to add to my life? More creativity, more exercise, movement, I called it, because exercise scares me. I'm not big on exercise, but I move all the time now. And slowly, those things, that energy that I added in, that I used to reinvent my life, squeezed out the things that were depleting me. And it felt better.
Okay, I'm putting this in the chat because I want to be sure to put this in the recap. For all those people who are afraid of the E word, start using that word.
So movement, yeah. And what we know too is, I got really caught up in what all the experts were saying. You've got to do an hour, you've got to do 50 minutes 3 times a week, or that wasn't going to work for me. I have chronic illness, and I have a bad attitude about exercise and all those things. So I thought, okay, but I can move 20 or 30 minutes a day. I can do that 5 days a week. No more, no less. I don't have to make it hard. So I could garden. I could take the dog out. I could hop on the exercise bike. I would go to the gym, and I'd listen to podcasts about, by people like you that would amped up during that time. There are lots of ways to move in my life. You can get up on the commercials instead of fast forwarding through them. Get up and walk around the house, and that counts as your movement. There's lots of ways to get creative with this stuff.
Yeah, I'm all about the dance break. So I was taking that opportunity when you were talking about it to make your point for you. So the first step, recognizing it. The second step is to do small things. But what are some big things that people can do to reinvent? I mean, we can't all have, a hey, makeover show, come on, fix my life. We do have to have a little bit of, self-motivation to do that. What are your thoughts?
I think that's absolutely true. You want to take responsibility so you can celebrate at the end of it and feel good as you're going. One of the big things that I think we really need to focus on is stop worrying so much about the outcome and worry more about the process. trust your goal. You're going to choose a smart goal because you're teaching us how to do that. So trust your goal and focus on what you can do right now to move toward that, and with purpose. So what does this mean? This means you need to be deliberate, right? This is no one else's responsibility. You can't just get up in the morning and say, hey, let's do it. You need to get up in the morning and say, all right, what's one thing I can do right now to move me in this direction? Because once we get started, we gain some momentum. The other thing I encourage people to think about is don't just do to do. Be purposeful in the doing. And this is a big thing because it's a buzzword and we get all freaked out and afraid that, I don't even know what my purpose is. Yeah, you do. Look at the patterns of your life. Look at the things you enjoy. Look at the things you gravitate to. People will say, well, I've been a teacher and now I'm retiring and I don't know what my purpose is. Come on, if you taught for 30 years, you're probably teaching your grandkids, you probably volunteered with the Boy Scouts or the girls' soccer team, you've probably taught the people you lived with. It's innate. It doesn't have to always be in the classroom. It doesn't have to be always as a volunteer. It can be teaching yourself a new skill, teaching your husband or wife how to travel, how to take in new experiences. That's your purpose. And our expression of purpose can look all different ways. But you know what it is if you go back and look to the patterns and then you deliberately act on that purpose, because that's going to build meaning, and that builds energy, and it makes the rest of it a whole lot easier to do.
And you're talking and I'm like, because I know you've read my book. It's so dumb of you. You start with the mission, you figure out where you're going, you have your motto, which is your compass along the way, and you have to trust that. And I think the reason why I'm so big on the brainstorming, all the things that get you from A to Z, is because you can do all the different things. And it isn't just the one thing, right?
You can do all different things in your life. And that's something I had to go through when I was recharging myself. I'm like, well, I'm a writer. This is all I want to do. That's my purpose. Now I hate it. And then I have to sit back and say, wait a minute, my writing is about inspiring. I want to inspire people. That's my purpose, right? Boil it down. Well, there's lots of ways to do that. And you know what? There's lots of ways to write. I don't have to do corporate writing. I don't have to do websites. I don't have to do articles. There's lots of those things. And I like different parts of all of it. And I had to get over that and recognize that it didn't have to be perfect before I sent it out to the world. I had to trust myself enough to know I would weather whatever that was. So one of the first things I did is I started writing a podcast and created a podcast, which is how you and I met. That's opened up a whole lot of other creative endeavors in writing, which has inspired other things that are solidly on my purpose. So don't overthink it. You need to be deliberate in your behaviors and actions and have a sense of the direction you want to go. But trust then that the universe is going to come up around you and give you ideas you never dreamed of before that'll land you in the next best place.
You see what I just pulled from what you were talking about just now. Overthinking. It gets you every time.
I think I overthink everything too. I still do. And I have to catch myself. And how do you deal with that? And I have to catch myself and just say, you cannot know. There's no need for certainty, right? Stop it. Let's move. Let's make a motion. Let's make a move.
I have my trick for things like overthinking, which actually, believe it or not, I pretty much train myself not to do it because I'm a firm believer in living what I teach, and I can't tell people to stop overthinking if I don't. But every now and then when it'll creep in or I'm frustrated by the news or life or whatever, doesn't happen very often, and everybody looks at me like, yeah, right, Deb, you get frustrated? And I'm like, I give myself 2 minutes to be annoyed, frustrated, spiral, and then I have to stop. And that's it. I get 2 minutes to get it out of my system, and then it's okay, back to business. So that's what works for me. Or just even yelling stop in your head is helpful. Do you ever do that?
Yeah, I just yell even out loud. My head, are you kidding me? But yes, I do all of that. And I think too, that you can have all that big feeling. I mean, a lot of our emotion is the spice of life, right? That's where energy comes from and motivation at times. But you don't have to behave badly from it, right? So you can sit in that. And I talk about emotions a lot in You Recharge, because I think we have a bad feeling when we think, oh, this is the wrong move, or I can never do that. Of course you can do this. Feeling too, and you can feel it, and you can keep on. We are that strong. We are capable of holding all these complex ideas at the same time, right? And we know science has shown us that our emotions prompt feelings. The emotions are the biology that come from our brain through our body. They prompt feelings, our moods and feelings that last about 90 seconds. So they change that quickly. So there have been times when I'm like, oh, I'm feeling really terrible. I'm just going to sit here. And pretty soon I get curious after a few seconds and like, I wonder if this is good. And then I'm on the next thing and I'm taking action toward the direction I want to go. And if you're honest, we all have had these big setbacks and big challenges in our life that have threatened to overturn us, right? Or to set us back. And I was stuck. That was a setback for me. And yet it provided some moments where I learned the most and I grew the most, and it launched the next best part of my life. And so those things now don't worry me so much. They're uncomfortable. But usually within that discomfort, there's an opportunity. And I'm much more attuned to looking for that opportunity now than I'm sitting in the bad spot.
In discomfort, you find opportunity. Love it.
So.
Or as I would say, when change is thrust upon you, you have two choices. You can cower, or you can embrace it and move forward. And move forward is way more fun, way more interesting.
Yeah.
Right?
I say you can be a creator of your life, or you can complain about the one you have. Which are you going to pick? Your choice. And however, since it's our choice, why would we pick anything that wasn't interesting? Life is so big and vast. We get to do all kinds of things. So I don't want to miss it.
And so what was your turning point? I mean, you said, fine, I can't do this anymore. You did like little changes. Did it get you right away? Or did it take a little bit and you were like, aha, this is working?
Well, none of those, those things now really have become habits in my life. But getting up to exercise every day didn't start as a habit. And the eating more fruits and vegetables. But I'll tell you what, I did 3 things the first month. And one was to fuel my brain, one was to fuel my body, and one was to support my creative expression. That's where I started. And when I started fueling my body with exercise and better food, automatically that made it easier for me to get through the day. I mean, that's pretty basic. If you don't put gas in the car, you're not going to go very far. And so some of the fatigue started to ease because I started fueling my body. Then I had to fuel my thoughts. And I had to do that by adding more fun in my life and actually counteracting some of the beliefs that were holding me down, that I'm too old to start this new project, that I'd never get to a certain. I just changed my language around that. So I became a person who was saying, I can't too often, which wasn't me at all. That's how I knew I was stuck. I was saying, I can't. And I became a person who says, I don't. No, I don't do that kind of work anymore, but let me turn you on to somebody who does. Oh, I don't eat that kind of junk food right now, but I will have another serving of broccoli. I don't, because I don't put me back in the power position of my own life. So that's the way that I started to support the beliefs. And then the emotions was doing just what you talked about, was settling in and recognizing that I could hold grief and happiness, and I could hold frustration and creativity and move myself through those periods without being derailed by them. And so it was kind of those 3 things. But I will tell you what, after 2 weeks, I felt a difference. Like, I felt a difference that I was excited to get up in the morning. I changed my morning routine to include reading. I call it study time. Some people might read the Bible. I read personal development books. I read writing books. I read things that really get me up, but it's my study time. I began meditating regularly again, which I had let go. And I find myself excited to get up and read. It was the only quiet time I had all day to read. So build the things into your day that make you excited, and the energy will push you toward the things you want to do and fuel you.
Okay, so let me make sure I got this right. So you decide you're going to fuel your brain, you're going to fuel your body, and embrace creative endeavors. Those were the three?
Yep, I'm going to make stuff, I'm going to move stuff, right? And I'm going to fill my brain with the scaffolding, the structure to support those things.
It's wonderful. And because, well, you came out the other side. So, yay, success story.
Lucky me. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. But, you know, Deb, and you and I have talked about this. I don't think everybody winds up in the place I did. I don't think some people might view their stuckness as a little more difficult to traverse. Others might say, oh, well, it's just my job I hate, and I can't quit my job, so what do I do? Wherever you're at, start there, right? There's no right or wrong. The point is that in the book offers some practices that work for me and that science-based stuff that can help you, but the point is to make a move. I've also done things that didn't work for me. You know, I when the pandemic hit and I couldn't get to the gym, my movement really had a setback because I was in such a routine that I didn't even have to think about it. It was easier to do. And for a while there, for a couple of months, I made some excuses. Well, I can't go to the gym. So of course you can. I tailored my workout. I got to a different place and I got right back up to speed again. So be gentle with yourself, but be honest with yourself too, and be aware. You can add in the things that inspire and excite you every day. You don't have to think of it as wholesale changes, but you are in control of that. You can decide to do those things. And when you do, that act alone, that small win, will give you enough momentum to make you feel better. For example, I get up every morning, I make my bed first thing. And on the worst days, on the most difficult days, I think, well, at least I got the darn bed made. That's something done today.
I did this exercise back in November, win a day. I think we talked about this because that was like the end of the year. Everybody could not wait for 2020 to be over. Little did they know 2021 will be off to a rocking start. But just to show up and show the value in, I made my bed. I love that. Sometimes I think once I survived, which for me is really, Miss Optimism. The fact that I said I survived the day was, I think, pretty telling. Sometimes my wins were making food, and usually I could pick out one or two actual accomplishments. I'm trying to get in my air quotes in the camera. But if you're aware, and I think some people call it gratitude, some people call it, wins, gratitude, however you describe your wins, it's personal to you and goes back to what you were saying. I'm going to put it back. Start where you are. Figure out what is a win for you is not going to be a win for someone else.
Absolutely. And your wins are going to change from day to day. I deal with a lot of stiffness. Some days it's very difficult for me to go get my coffee without jiggling it all over. Sometimes that's a win, and I will take it. And I laugh with myself and say, oh, I got the coffee there, which is the most important part of my day. And, but it's a noticing of how you're moving in your life, because this is it. This is the time we have. We cannot afford to be sitting around on the couch like I was doing, counting the hours till bed. We have this time. And if a win for you is having a really good interaction with your son for 2 minutes, take the win and sit in it and savor that moment. If a win is making a new recipe for yourself at dinner, take the win and enjoy that meal. Pause and chew it slowly and think, look at what I did, because we are makers. And that is something that is uniquely human. And I think it should be celebrated. You don't have to wonder where it's going to get you. I just wrote a book. I wasn't sitting there saying, this has to be a bestseller. I was sitting here saying, I'm going to write the best book I can and bring value, and I'm going to enjoy the whole process. Now, every moment, every day, it's tough doing. I didn't always enjoy it, but I was always grateful for the opportunity and super grateful for where it's gotten me today, talking to people like you. So take the win, whatever that looks like for you, from day to day. And sometimes our best effort looks like 30%. right? And that's still 100% effort for us on that day, 30%. It's not so good some days. Bring what you have and leave it all out there for the day.
Take the win.
Take the win.
Take the win. And it's your win. It's not their win. And you've done something that whenever I talk to someone who has done this, but you've managed to take your experience and share it. And not everybody who has that kind of experience has that ability to write about it and say, okay, I made it through to the other side, you can too. And I think I'm giving you extra gold stars because I know some stories are great. Yes, you're like, I'm collecting them. I got another one. I know the thing.
The star.
But it's true. Not everybody is capable of sharing their story.
You know, everybody has different abilities and different ways of sharing their experience. But I think we undersell ourselves so often. I think if we, you know, I've got a teenager who's in remote school right now, and she was frustrated over a grade. And I'm looking at our school circumstances and how she is learning, and she's not getting the kind of learning experience that would benefit her in the best way. And I don't care about the grade. I care about the effort. And I told her that. I'm like, take the win, bring your best. But you sit down at the desk and you have, you know, your clothes on. Don't be eating in school. Work your best. And sometimes you're not going to get the grade. And it doesn't mean that the work doesn't matter, because it's about the process and the experience of living. Life isn't something to be figured out. It's something to be experienced. So if everything is in it for the outcome, then we're going to be lonely when the book isn't a bestseller, or when whatever happens, you don't get the grade or you don't get the job. What if the process was the life? You know, what if that's what we were focused on?
Isn't that the point though? Enjoy your journey.
Totally.
That's the whole point of everything. And the point that you made is maybe not everybody, and I was giving, and you still get the kudos for being able to tell your story and share it. If you can't share your story, but you have one, write it down, get it out of you and onto paper, or talk it out of your body, because that's going to help you as well.
One of the practices I write about in the book, which I did, everything in the book I've done, because I don't put stuff in, and you know, and there's some stuff I'll tell you I think it's hogwash, but I tried it anyhow. There's a lot of science behind this strategy of rewriting your life narrative. And what that means is you are the hero in your own life, and you can construct the story however you want. And if you actually sit down and physically do the work of writing difficult moments out with a new ending, or if you see yourself as the hero, for using my story, you know, I'm stuck on the couch and oh, woe's me, there's nothing I can do. Well, when I started rewriting the story, I said, oh, well, I could get off the couch and maybe I can learn from this hardship. And if I can learn, other people can learn, and maybe it'll, pretty soon, I'm creating a book around the deal and creating a life that feels much better to me. So you don't have to be a writer to do that exercise, but think in your greatest imagination. And it's like you talk about Goaltopia, and I use that idea a lot. In your greatest imagination, starting here, where do you want to go next? Write that down. Because when we put it out there, when we rewrite their own ending, science shows we head toward that narrative and create the outcomes closer to what we're hoping for.
Yeah, I remember when you interviewed me and I mentioned Goaltopia, you went nuts, because it's true. Because only you know what that life is. And if you have the idea of what that is and you work towards it, whatever your journey is, if you're enjoying it, if you have fun, then it's a win. Take the win. I feel like that's like the mantra for today is take the win, which is great because we're going to give people a bonus goal in a minute. I want to backtrack just a little bit more to go through the phases one more time. So you need to reinvent yourself, but how do you first get to where you know that, okay, it's time?
Okay, look at your energy. Look at how you're feeling. Are you feeling bad? Okay, it's time. We don't need to feel bad. Now, that doesn't mean we're not going have setbacks and challenges, I do not wake up happy in the morning. I'm not like, yahoo, let's go, it's 6 a.m. I wake up and I sit on the edge of the bed and I stew a little bit and then I get up and go. So I'm not talking about blissfully happy. I'm talking about living a sustained kind of vitality where there's energy in the life I'm living and engagement in parts of each day that I'm excited and looking forward to. Where does that start? It starts from noticing that you don't have that, right? What are the patterns in your life? I was saying, I'm so tired about 10 times a day. My husband would come home from work and he'd be like, how was your day? And I'd be like, I'm so tired, I'm ready for bed. And I started to hear my own patterns. And the next question is, wow, that's not how I want to be. I don't want to feel tired all the time. So what do I need to do to not feel tired all the time? What are some basics? Then I started reading, then I started thinking, then I started feeling. So start now, look at the energy in your life. If you feel great at the end of each workday and every weekend, but you start dreading Monday, take a look at your job. I know we're not in situations where you can walk out of your job tomorrow, but there's probably opportunities within that day for you to add in these little bursts of things that you like to do. Start embroidering over your lunch break if you love to embroider, or write your narrative, or read on the way to work if you're on public transit, or take a break and walk outside during your work breaks. Find the ways in to slowly add in the things you like. But start with what isn't working. That's where I started. And I thought, okay, this isn't working. I'm overweight. I'm tired all the time. My body hurts and I'm not that excited. And I just don't have time to feel this rotten. So what can I do today to help support that kind of growth? And then be patient, take the win. It doesn't have to all happen by, tomorrow or the end of the year I hope it never ends. I hope I'm constantly reinventing and recharging and learning new things that excite me and dropping other things by the wayside, because we outgrow our lives, right? We outgrow our skin and we need to change. I certainly don't want to do what I was doing when I was 20, So that's okay. But enjoy the moment you have when you uplift those patterns that aren't serving you.
Okay, so think, what can I do? Take the win, keep moving forward. And I want to add one thing. I think you described all this perfectly. Your life does not have to be terrible for you to reinvent yourself.
We don't have to feel bad. It's our responsibility. We don't have to feel bad.
Right. And you can say, my life's fine,
yep,
but I want it to be better. Or this is okay, I want it to be great. Or really, in my theme of the month is February Reset. A lot of people thought, we were talking about this before, a lot of people thought January, yay, new year. And January just kind of whooshed by with a lot of drama and still dealing with the pandemic and everything. And I'm like, okay, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to start this year as many times as necessary. So yeah. February Reset is the perfect time to look around. What's working, what isn't working, what can I introduce into my life to make my life better?
I think this is actually the perfect time, and I'm very aware that there's fear and struggles for people out there. But this is also the time that we can grow, add new things in, celebrate our resilience. For Pete's sakes, you guys, if we're still sitting here, we are highly resilient. And when we grow, whether it's learning the ukulele, which I did, I'm never playing it because I'm really bad, but I can play, or creating, or making a new meal, or getting fitter or stronger, or having new relationships, that growth is expansive, and we are wired for that. So your life might feel good now, but you don't want to get stuck. We don't have to be in that place. Life is vitality. It's the animating force. And to sustain it, we need to create that energy cycle where we're trying and learning and growing and sharing new things, and also sitting with those things that are working and appreciating those. And when we do that, we create this cycle that works and sustains us and introduces us to new things all the way along. So you can start wherever you are. It doesn't have to be a failure. You don't have to feel bad about your job. You can love it. Then think about what you can add in tomorrow to elevate that.
I am so with you. Absolutely. Yay. I have no opinions. I'm just sitting here. Well, of course I have opinions. My opinion is that I completely agree with you.
Good. Well, I'm always up for that opinion. I'm going to tell my husband to have that opinion, right? He's not quite
Well,
there.
and one of my beliefs is that, you deserve to be happy at least part, if not all of your life. And if you're not, introduce the things. So, like I said, all I have here is agreement, my friend.
Yeah, and what do you like to do? What did you like to do as a kid? You dance. You say you have dance parties, right? I know friends who danced like crazy when they were kids, and then they grew up and time got in. Now they're having dance parties in their house. They're turning on the music and going out. That bring the joy back in. Even if it's just one day, you don't need a long-term plan. One day, and I bet that it inspires you to move into the next thing.
I just had this flashback because when I was a kid, I grew up in the Midwest. We had freight trains, and I think it was senior year of high school. Whenever my friends and I would get caught by a freight train, we would just roll down the windows and go outside and dance until it left. And I completely forgot about that memory until you mentioned what did you enjoy in your childhood. But that's kind of what I do now is, okay, I'm waiting for something to start. I have a dance break. So look at what you uncovered.
Well, there you go. And now I'm listening for the train. I mean, it'd be cool.
That's so before we wrap, we're going to give people a bonus goal. And I think I know what you're going to say, but I'm going to let you say it. What bonus goal should we let our listeners, viewers, and also if you're watching live or on the replay, please jump in and share your tips for how you can reinvent yourself or your experiences of how you came at a crossroads and said, okay, today I'm reinventing. Because that's the other thing is when you share your story, it's like approval to encourage other people to share their story or even to make their story.
Okay, so now I'm under pressure for a bonus.
You are under pressure, but this should be an easy one. So at the end, what I like to do is in the recap, and I put the link to my recaps in the comments. You can go to thedebmethod.com/blog and you can watch the recap for this and watch the replay and check out all the previous episodes. And if you're ready to change your life and you need an instruction manual, please check out yourgoalguidebook.com. That'll take you to Amazon, or else you can look for your goal guide at your favorite bookstore. And I've vamped and given you enough time. So what kind of bonus goal shall we leave people with today?
I think I can talk about this forever. The bonus goal would be a two-part bonus goal.
Yes, please.
Start where you are, but start where you are by adding something in that you enjoy. Do it for yourself. Just right now, when you get offline, or even if you like to sketch, or you used to, and you've always wanted to try drawing, pull out a notebook right now and start drawing yet, or go to a video and get a tutorial. Start where you are by adding something in that's going to support your energy, something fun, something creative, movement, fuel for your body. Is that what you thought I was going to say? Because that's my goal.
Well, I thought you were going to say take the win.
Oh,
and you did.
That's
in a different way.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, for sure take the win, but create the win and then own it.
The bonus goal is create the win. Don't just celebrate it. Create it. That's even better. But that's what this says. Create the win. And if you watch, and I started doing this every year, I say I'm going to do it, and we see how many days I get into the year. And I do everything I say, but I also have the 5 of 7 rule, which gives me a little bit of leeway. But I have a document where I say 3 to 5 lines every day of just something I accomplished. And sometimes it's like I did goal chat. Well, obviously I do goal chat every week, but on a Sunday, if that's my win, I say 3 to 5, but if it's 1 or 2, a couple days a week, it's fine. But when you list out your wins and then you go back, I'm really big on calendaring and tracking. Whenever I do my workshops, I say that. But this year I decided I'm creating a document that I'm going to, at least for me, keep those win-a days. And they help. Because if you're like, what have I done you have a list, and it can be making your bed. It can be making coffee. It can be making a healthy meal. Your wins are yours. So I'm going to give an extra bonus call. Create the win, start where you are, add something and you enjoy, but write it down somewhere where you're going to see it so you will continue to feel good about yourself.
I think that is a huge, huge point. So I'm glad you said that, because we all get through these days where we've been working our tail off, supporting the kids or working full time on our business or our projects or taking care of the animals or the yard or the house. And we get to the end of the day and we're tired. We're like, I got nothing done today, right? Well, come on. You're moving all day long. You're creating things that add meaning to your family, to your world, to the community. And that's what changes the world, right? We start at our home. We're creating happy families. We're creating happy neighborhoods. We're supporting our schools. That creates a happy community. That changes the world, right? It starts with us right now. So absolutely, notice what you're doing. You're making a difference. You are living on purpose. Take a minute and write that down and notice what your contribution is, because that will fuel you going forward. And that's what this energy, this cycle of energy is all about. That's how you recharge.
Yeah. We add fuel. It's sort of like you drive your car, it recharges your car. So you have to drive yourself to recharge yourself.
Exactly. You have to charge it to get energy going. And then what do? You drive it around to give that engine more energy. And then you park it and let it rest and regroup, and it doesn't lose the charge. It's sustainable, right? We work just like that. I'm sure not exactly like that, but.
So, Polly, where can people find you? I put pollycampbell.com, but they can find you other places as well.
Yeah, come to pollycampbell.com. That's my webpage, and you can check out the books. Meet me on Facebook at Polly Campbell Author, and we have a growing community there, so be a part of that. Those two places, you can sign up for my newsletter, like a pep talk in your inbox every week, a couple times a month, actually. And, we have the podcast, Polly Campbell Simply Said. So you can track me down on Apple or iTunes or Stitcher or Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts, and be part of this conversation.
Wonderful. Well, I think you're awesome. I'm very happy for you, and I'm thrilled that you joined me today. And everybody, whoever is watching, you chose yourself today. So there is a reason you chose to watch this episode on Reinventing Yourself. Remember, you can do it. And that's really sometimes the first step is saying, okay, make the choice, move forward. Thank you so much, Polly, for joining me today. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Again, every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Pacific, you can catch Gold Chat on Twitter. And I will be back next Monday and every Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific for another awesome guest for Gold Chat Live. And again, find me at the DEB Method everywhere and yourgoldguidebook.com if you want more information on that. Thank you again, Polly.
Thank you for having me. I love it.
And keep at it, because you're definitely doing something right. I'm just so happy for you and what you've been able to achieve.
Thank you. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I love talking about this stuff. I believe it, and I hope it brings value.
Wonderful. Okay, everybody, have a wonderful week. Do your bonus goals. Let us know how it goes. And remember, you can do it.